Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Ghadeer channel. Today we will be discussing a topic which almost has been thrust upon us. We've been very busy on other topics of like just preparing materials. And during that time, certain individuals from a certain channel have decided to take maximum opportunity and peddle propaganda and hatred towards Shia Muslims through the sort of materials that they've been producing, they've been presenting, to stoke up hatred. And the intention has been twofold. One is to have Shias declared as apostates in the eyes of Al-Sunnah, and B, to have them ostracized, so that there's no connection between Sunnis and Shia ever. And as part of that, not only have they been presenting materials in a certain manner, they've then also tried to create this wedge. For example, we live in the West, and the traditionally communities have lived in peace and harmony and coexistence without any problems. But the actual agenda they're now seeking to drive home is that there should be never the two should sit together effectively. You know, like the sort of hatred that we've experienced coming from the Indian subcontinent, particularly Pakistan. Me and a couple of the brothers who've got that background where they say you shouldn't even sit with Shia Muslims. You know, they're not Muslims; they're prostrate. You can't eat their slaughtered meat. You can't marry. Certainly, you can't marry in them. You can't sit next to them. You can't develop friendships. The very sort of hatred that has been fostered successfully by some of these sort of elements in Pakistan is being imported here with their modus operandi, their methodology. So this is why we decided it was very important to produce a series to counter their nonsense, essentially. And let's hold aloft a giant mirror and let them look at themselves. If they're concerned and if they're presenting Shias as takfiris and individuals that wish to slaughter the Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the reality is very, very different. So essentially, this is a gift for them. So for today's panel, we've got Sayyid Zadi, we've got Brother Daniel, and we've got Sayyid Ali. And without further ado, Sayyid Zadi, please enlighten us on who exactly are the Nawasib.
Thank you so much, Sayyidina. The discussion that we will be having today is about who are Nawasib and who are Khawarij, right? But precisely our discussion right now is about what is the term Nasibi and how do we define that, right? Because we're just getting this kind of mindset from some of the people as if Nawasib is something which is coined by Shias, and anyone that they deem non-Shia, they would just term them Nawasib. And I would just say this is a pure lie. Obviously, this is not true. But for us, we need to go into the books of Ahl Sunnah and we should see for ourselves that what Sunnis have traditionally said about Nawasib. The first quotation that I have is from Ibn Manzur, right? Just to give a brief background to our viewers, right? So Nawasib are the people that have hatred towards Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam and Ahl al-Bayt alayhi wassalam. And precisely the Sunnis, their scholarship, some of them view that, you know, Muawiyah was the one that was the pioneer of Nawasib, and he was the one that institutionalized, you know, hatred towards Amir al-Mu'mineen. Some of the other Sunnis that have soft corner for Muawiyah, they deem it's Marwan. And then some of them that have soft corners for both, they might deem someone else, right? But we'll go through this and we'll see that who was the person that, you know, basically initiated that properly. We have Lisan al-Arab in front of us, and this is from Ibn Manzur, and it is from page number 4437. Ibn Manzur says, وَالنَّوَاسِبْ قَوْمٌ يَتَدَيَّنُونَ بِبُغْضَةِ عَلِيٍّ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ. So what does Ibn Manzur say? Ibn Manzur says Nawasib are those who embrace the hate of Amir al-Mu'mineen as an integral part of their faith. Then we have second scholars, Allama Murtaza Zubaydi. He has a beautiful book, Taj al-Urus, which Sunnis and Shia, likewise, they go into this book and they use it for dictionary purposes. And in volume 4, page number 277, he says about وَمِنْهُ النَّوَاسِبُ وَالنَّاصِبِيَّةُ وَأَهْلُ النَّصْبِ وَهُمُ الْمُتَدَيِّنُونَ بِبِغْضَةِ سَيِّدِنَا أَمِيرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَيَعْسُوبِ المسلمين أبي الحسن علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله تعالى عنه وكرم الله وجهه لأنه نصبوه له أي عادوه. What does he say? He says about Nawasib that Nawasib are those people that have hatred towards the chief of believers, the leaders of Muslims, Abu Hassan Ali ibn Abi Talib. May Allah be pleased with him and karram Allahu wajhuhu. Why is that? One thing I need to add in it is that because لأنهم نصبوا له. What does nasabu mean? Someone having a hatred towards someone. Then we have third scholar, and which is Allama Jalaluddin Suyuti. I mean, there's no Sunni scholar in this whole world that doesn't know about Jalaluddin Suyuti. And obviously, he has written books in nearly every topic of religion, right? He has a book on Ilm al-Hadith, which is a commentary on Taqrib al-Nawawi. Taqrib al-Nawawi is a really small booklet on Ilm al-Hadith, and Suyuti wrote a good commentary on it, which is called Tadrib al-Rawi fi Sharhi Taqrib al-Nawawi. And this book is published from Darul Kutub al-Ilmiya, Beirut, and he mentions that in page number 177 and it's volume number 1. He says, so he mentions names of Nawasib, people that are either Nawasib or people that have been accused as Nasibis, right? So he says, هؤلاء رموا بالنصب, right? People that have been accused of what? Of Nasb. And what does that mean? وَهُوَ بُغْضُ عَلِيٍّ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. And that means that anyone having hostility or anyone having malice towards Amir al-Mu'min alayhi salam about it. وَتَقْدِيمُ غَيْرُهُ عَلَيْهِ. And anyone that prefers anyone over Amir al-Mu'min. And I think what this Suyuti means here is that if someone gives preference to Muawiyah over Amir al-Mu'minin, then he is a Nasibi. Obviously, if they give preference to Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman, they deem it as an integral part of the faith of the Sunnah. So what Suyuti means here is, anyone that gives preference to Muawiyah or to Talha or Zubair or Amir al-Mu'mineen is deemed as Nasibi. The next name that I have, the fourth name that I have, is obviously the person that has researched the book of Siyar A'lam al-Nubala. So Allama Shu'aib al-Arnaout, he's a famous person that has written commentary on different books. Some of it is Musnad Ahmad, Sahih ibn Hibban, Sunan Abi Dawood, and different other books. So he has written footnotes on Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, and the reference that I have is from volume 4, page 37. And he mentions that in the footnotes about Nawasib. Min al-Nasbiyya, about the quotation from Zahabi, when Zahabi says, Min al-Nasbiyya. وَهُمُ الْمُنَافِقُونَ. They are the hypocrites. Al-Mutadayyinun. People that take their religion with what? بِبُغْضَةِ عَلِيٍّ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. With the hatred, with the animosity towards Amir al-Mu'min. سُمُّوا بِذَلِكَ لِأَنَّهُمْ نَسَبُوا لَهُ وَعَادُوهُ. It is because they have taken Amir al-Mu'mineen as a symbol and they hate him for that. Same Allama in page number 201 in the same book, volume number 18, page 201, he says, وَالنَّصْفُ وَبُغْضُ عَلِيٍّ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ وَمُوَالَاةِ مُعَاوِيَةَ. So what does that mean? It means that anyone that has grudge against Amir al-Mu'mineen and love for Muawiyah. So this is what is being defined regarding Nawasib and the term Nasibi in Sunni books. Now we come to Ibn Kathir. Ibn Kathir, as we know, had always soft heart for Nawasib, Muawiyah, Yazid, and people that have been, the pioneers of this movement of Nawasib. So Ibn Kathir has written in his book Al-Bidayatu wa Nihaya, volume number 17, page number 375. And the edition that we have is a fairly recent one. And he says, وَهَكَذَا خُلَفَاء بَنِي أُمَيَّةِ. He mentions about Banu Umayyah. Let me just read the English quote. The Khalifa, the caliphs from Banu Umayyah were like this. Their numbers were like the numbers of Rafidah, but the time was incomplete for a fixed 100 years. All of them were Nasibis except Imam Umar ibn Abdul Aziz the Pious. Muawiyah, then his son Yazid, then his grandson Muawiyah as-Sadid, Marwan, then his son Abdul Malik, the fighter against Ibn Zubayr, until he killed him when he was independent enough for him in his reign in all countries without any doubt. Then the Walid, the builder of the Jama Mosque, there is no building like it. The Sulaiman, generous, and the Umar, the Yazid, and the Hisham, the treacherous person, Then Al-Walid ibn Yazid, the openly sinner. Then Yazid ibn Walid, the successful, his nickname is defective. But he is complete. Then Ibrahim, and he was intelligent. Then Marwan, the donkey, Marwan al-Himar, with curly hair, he was the last of them. This is enough said about them. So this just tells you Ibn Kathir, like, so what we did recently was we went through a few quotes from Sunni scholarship, what they have written about Nawasib, like what they have written about Nasbism. And then we went through the misdaq. So we went through the mafhum, we went through the meaning, and then we went into the people that were actually deemed as Nawasib by Sunni scholarship. And on top of it is obviously Muawiyah, because when Ibn Kathir is mentioning Banu Umayyah, he is saying all of them were Nawasib. Obviously, Banu Umayyah, like Umayyad as a dynasty, started from Muawiyah. It started like from 48 Hijri all the way until 90 years, like 130 Hijri onwards.
Thank you very much, Sayyid Zadi, for that wonderful analysis and summary. So what we learn is we understand who the Nawasib are as per definition. And the interesting thing is we are effectively, when you try to find the origins of the Nawasib crime scene, we trace the DNA back to Muawiyah. Actually, this culture of hatred was actually, that seed was sown by Muawiyah, and it spread throughout the Umayyad reign. As long as the Umayyads were in charge, this Nawasib hatred had a hatred etched in their hearts towards Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, was in every successive caliph. And could you imagine, during that era, they were the men in charge. They held the keys to power. Could you imagine how they were propagating this hatred from their pulpits, from their ulama? Imagine how you had generations of people, and interestingly, obviously Muawiyah would have come in the era of the Sahaba, and then later on there'll be Tabi'een as well. But the Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah regard those as the best of generations. And during this era, Nawasib had set a foothold over society. They were actually in power during that period. So if you imagine how successful they'd been, they'd attained power, and they were spreading their hatred, their poison into the hearts of the people. Over to you, Daniel.
Right. So the part that I'm going to read is pretty revealing in that regard too. And we will see to which degree the Banu Umayyah were able to implement this policy of hatred towards the Holy Family, alayhi salatu wassalam. And let me start with a part of it's from the book Siyar al-Alam al-Nubala from al-Dhahabi, renowned Salafi or a proto-Salafi scholar, who reported from Ulay ibn Rabah that he's a trustworthy Imam, Abu Musa al-Akhmi al-Misri, and he heard narrations from Amir ibn al-As, Uqba ibn Amir, Abi Qatada al-Ansari, Abdullah ibn Umar, and a group of companions, and he is from the greatest scholars of the Tabi'een. Abdul Rahman al-Muqri said whenever the Banu Umayyah would hear a newborn was named Ali, they will kill him. So if this generation wasn't excelling in hatred towards Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, then we wonder why things like this would occur in their time.
Well, this is a really useful admission here. We actually have it from the pen of our own opponents, essentially. We're acknowledging and that the name of Ali was viewed with such abhorrence during the Umayyad regime. Those that had it would be put to death. And it's funny because the channel that make themselves out as very academic, one of their contributors said, this is just a fable. No such thing as this ever happened. Well, Brother Daniel has just cited a source where this was acknowledged as a reality. So you can imagine how much they hated the name Ali, that people were killed for having it.
We have another narration, which is also from Siyar al-Alam al-Nubala, volume 3, page 128, where Al-Dhahabi says that Muawiyah had behind him a huge number of people who loved him and went to extreme length in their view of him, and who placed him above Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. It was either because he ruled them with honor, clemency, and generosity, or because they were born in Syria upon love of him, and they raised their children upon that, which means love of Muawiyah. Among them were a small group of the companions, Salats of the Tabi'een, and people of merit. They fought on his side against the people of Iraq, meaning Imam Ali alayhi salam and his army, and they were reared upon Nasb. And there we see another part of the same book on the same page of the same in the same volume, where Dhahabi says, and there were a considerable amount of people who supported Muawiyah, who loved him and indulged in ghulu, and placed him in a marked degree, either because he governed them with generosity, clemency, and bestowal, or because they had been born in Syria on his love, and their children were also brought in the same situation, and that included a number of companions, while the majority were the Tabi'een, and they fought the Iraqis, and they were brought up on Nasb. Means people were already raised in this ideology of Nasb. Okay, so we have another narration from the same book, this time volume 5, page 374, Siyar al-Alama al-Nubala, where Dhahabi says that in regard to the Nawasib, Nawasib are those who fought against Ali alayhi salatu wasalam in Siffin and acknowledged Ali alayhi salam as a Muslim. So they did consider him as a Muslim, but still fought against him. And those are the Nawasib.
Exactly. So isn't it interesting? So they have a hatred in their hearts for Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam, and yet they're still Muslim. Do you see the contradiction in these people? It doesn't change your faith. You could have a belief, but you're still a Muslim. And these same individuals, very academic. One of their early members, I remember once saying that Munafiq, when it says hatred of Ali is hypocrisy, it doesn't mean if you have hatred for political reasons, that's fine. It's only if you have hatred as part of your religious belief. But you tell me this description that's been provided here, does it not bear resemblance to religious belief? It's embedded their hearts in this manner. Is that politics? Oh,
Right.
well, so that's what can we say about such people?
Well, one thing what I'd like to add is that also we could say that we reject the first three khulafa due to political reasons, which we can't say because we don't agree with their political position. So that what is their problem if we would do that?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. What's the difference then?
Okay. So then we have something from Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani from his famous work Fath al-Bari, Sharh Sahih al-Bukhari, from volume 17, page 626, where he says, they, meaning the Nawasib, are the followers of Muawiyah in the Battle of Siffin, without further comment to that. So everybody who fought with Muawiyah in Siffin was a Nasibi, according to Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Then we have another huge authority among the Sunni school of thought, Ibn Kathir, in his Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, volume 9, page 154. He says, this hadith, quoting a certain hadith, clearly rejects Rawafid, who are the rejectors of the leadership of the three khulafa, three khalifas. And this also rejects the Nawasib, who are from Banu Umayyah, and those who followed them from Syria, in rejecting the caliphate of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Right? So the hadith is about the caliphate will last for 30 years. So Ibn Kathir was of the opinion that this would reject both the Shia opinion as well as the Nawasib, whom he sees or identifies as the followers of Muawiyah.
Hatred comes from the top. You have to understand, when you're a leader, to successfully indoctrinate a people, you need someone at the top. It's not just at a low level. It has to come from as an official position. Do you understand me? You have to propagate an agenda, which is then, so obviously you have a full plan. Now, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to curse Imam Ali alayhi salam. We're going to do these things. So it successfully indoctrinates people. You know, you could have had, for example, If you look at the Second World War, you couldn't have Hitler committing a genocide on the Jewish people unless it came from the top. You understand? You needed somebody in charge of propaganda. You needed somebody to successfully implement that. You needed committed individuals. You needed to hypnotize people, to get them on board. This had to be a top order for it to then successfully go through the ranks into the common people. So when people try and exonerate Muawiyah to say, oh, well, there were Nasbis who attached to Muawiyah, but Muawiyah is innocent. Come on.
Yeah.
He hated Imam Ali. The practice of cursing happened during his tenure.
Yeah.
And clearly
There's
the
also-
hatred was successfully passed across throughout his reign into the people.
Yeah.
Also, one should not forget one important point. According to some of, or actually a quite big part of the Sunni scholars, cursing the Sahaba makes you an apostate, makes you a kafir. So it would have been the obligation of Muawiyah as a leader of the time to prevent people from falling into kufr by insulting Imam Ali alayhi salam, because obviously insulting the Sahaba, according to a lot of Sunni scholars, is the same thing as apostasy. So why did Muawiyah not prevent people from falling into apostasy, or at least from the huge crime they would commit by cursing a Sahabi?
To be honest, that really covers it, beautifully covered it. In fact, I mean, that is the reality. I've already pointed the fact that it came from the top. And there was historical look. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wouldn't have needed to say this hadith, a sign of a hypocrite's hatred of Ali, before the Sahaba. There clearly must have been some inkling at the time that there was this books. And that you said before, let's forget Ghadeer, even before that, there's an expedition in which people were complaining about Amir al-Mu'mineen. And Rasulullah had to tell them, what do you want regarding Ali? Buraidah made the complaint. So you understand, there was this books, hatred towards Amir al-Mu'mineen.
Jealousy.
You know, it certainly was there. And obviously there's a narration of Abu Zar al-Ghifari that after the Prophet, we used to recognize the hypocrites through their hatred of Ali. Now, Abu Zar al-Ghifari was a Sahaba. Who is he talking about? He was going to be talking about the same people, the companions. So you understand me? It was there, and obviously, by the time we have this explosion at Safin, we have individuals who have a hatred for Ali, who have joined the camp of Muawiyah, and they're fighting him. So what does that tell you? It wasn't okay. You're exactly right. There might not have been a name of a Nawasib, but there was a movement. But let's be honest, movements can develop first, names can develop later. You understand me? It's a movement. The movement was there. If they were called Nawasib later, it doesn't mean they were not Nawasib now. Okay, how do you say that?
Thank you very much, Sayyid Hassan Bukhari. And, elaborating to that point which you mentioned about Imam Ali alayhi salam, that one of the signs of identifying a believer was, whether or not somebody loved Imam Ali. And the famous hadith mentioned in Sahih Muslim, which I'm about to read. But before that, there's a verse of the Holy Quran, Surah 63:1, and it says, when the hypocrites come to you, meaning the Prophet, they say, we bear witness that you are indeed the messenger of Allah, and Allah knows that you are indeed his messenger. And Allah bears witness that the hypocrites are liars indeed. This is in the Holy Quran, Surah 63, verse 1. And the hadith is from Sahih Muslim in the book of Iman, the chapter of faith. Hadith number 131, page 51. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, by whom split up the seed and created something living, the apostle, may peace and blessings be upon him, gave a promise that none but a believer would love me, and none but a hypocrite would nurse grudge against me. So the Holy Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, described those individuals who bore a grudge against Imam Ali Islam as being hypocrites, and the Holy Quran testifies that indeed the hypocrites are liars. So even though the hypocrites used to come and testify to the Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, they used to testify in the oneness of God, they used to even testify that the Holy Prophet was the messenger of Allah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rejected their statement because he knew what was in their hearts. Just like he knew in the hearts of some of the certain Sahaba as well. But the point is, the matter is that the Holy Quran testifies that the Munafiqeen are liars. And it's funny because somebody said, oh well, this was only related to a specific particular moment in history where the Holy Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, said this about Imam Ali Islam because he was quite firm on the Sunnah. and it's not general. It's not one, not of a statement that we should be taking it, generally for all times. Then we can apply such logic about other Sahaba as well. We can say, well, the Holy Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, said this about so and so and so and so, and we cannot take the general statement of it. To be honest with you, we kept this the first episode extremely short. There's a lot to actually say on the subject matter, and there's all sorts of excuses and justification given for the Nawasib. And as we know that this term itself, yes, we can agree that the term itself evolved over time, but the fact of the matter is, whatever the case, the testimony of the scholars of the Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah categorically, generally, is that those people who were deemed Nawasib were from the camps of Muawiyah, they were from the camp of Muawiyah, and all the Banu Umayyah leaders, with the exception of Umar Abdul Aziz, were Nasbis. That would naturally include Muawiyah himself, who was a Nasbi, and all those who loved and supported him were Nasbis. All those individuals who fought Imam Ali Islam and Siffin were Nasbis. And yeah, I mean, what more can you say? That the fact of the matter is that this whole hatred that stemmed from stemmed against Imam Ali Islam had some historical basis that started essentially from the time of the Holy Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, up until the 100 years of the Banu Umayyah rule. Hassan Bahari, don't want to wrap it up quickly.
So that really sums it up. We have a historical evidence. The Nawasib are those that hate Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. The DNA for the crime scene dates back to none other than Muawiyah and his adherents and their rule throughout the Umayyad kingdom, which went on for over 100 years. And one can only imagine how much hatred they successfully placed into the hearts of those that would attend their mosque gatherings. I think that wraps things up. Thank you very much, Jazakallah brothers, all of you, inshallah, and we shall continue our discussions next week. Assalamu alaikum.